This is your 20-minute podcast, where we do our best to give you useful information in 20 minutes or less. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
This is David Brower with your 20-minute podcast, and our special guest today is Mary Shores from the beautiful city and state of Champaign, Illinois. How are you today?
I am great, David. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much. You're the owner and founder of Midstate Collection Solutions, Inc., and we are not talking about collections today, right?
That's right.
You have some really cool stuff on your website. The first question I read was, can you imagine the happiest, most fulfilled version of yourself? I mean, who doesn't want that?
Well, I know I certainly do.
Absolutely. So how did you go from collections to transforming people and speaking all over the country?
Yeah, it really started in 2005. I wanted a different method of debt collections because I wanted to go down a path of enlightenment. I was really into the idea of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and wanted to hit that self-realization spot, which to me meant enlightenment. Then I went through this existential crisis of, how am I going to go down this journey of enlightenment and be a debt collector? Because as we all know in the Bible, the tax collector was not a popular guy.
Right. But with that said, Paul became the world's biggest tax collector and the world's biggest proponent of Jesus Christ. So, you talk about a 180-degree change.
Right. Well, my mission really just became, I wanted to know, how could I make people happier at the end of the call than they were at the beginning of the call? And so I created a system that I ended up training on for about the last 12 years of my life that I was able to translate into a personal development program that got me an award-winning book deal with Hay House Publishing. So that's the book that I'm getting ready to come out with now, called Conscious Communications, Harnessing the Power of Your Words to Change Your Mind, Your Choices, and Your Life. And
that's the one that's coming out in August, right?
That's right.
Is that your first book?
It is.
Okay. So the 12-year journey, wow, that's a commitment.
It certainly was. I've learned a lot. When we're talking in the beginning about how to be the most joyous and enlightened, best version of yourself, and really, we've got this sort of psychological and chemical feedback loop. It's neurobiology of our emotions is very interesting. And I'm always drawing these circles where I'm inserting, where are your opportunities to create dopamine, or where are the stressors in your life that are happening that are creating stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. And believe it or not, if you just gravitate towards the actions that create dopamine, you'll get to that euphoric feeling that you can stay in almost all the time.
So that's the neuroscience part of it, right?
That's right.
So how did you come across that? How did you decide? Neuroscience is going to be a big part of how I reach enlightenment and how I help others. How did that enter into your life?
Well, it came very natural to me. I kind of label myself as a gypsy scholar. And what I mean by that is that I'm very drawn to everything mystical. And, I've done all of these mystical workshops like breath work and meditation journeys. And, I'm always going to places that say institute. My friends are like, you have to quit saying you're going to the institute. You sound like a loony person.
That's awesome.
Like I've been to Omega Institute and I've been to Monroe Institute. And they're like, Mary, stop saying you're going to the institute. We don't like that.
Oh, how funny.
So the truth is, I've got this mystical side of my personality. But I'm also some people call me a hot nerd, I'm that girl that I'm just super drawn to anything about the cosmos. So I'm a huge Neil deGrasse Tyson fan, but neurology was where it's at. So when I was 19, I had a daughter and she passed away. She was born with this severe, profound brain damage that because it was a lack of oxygen situation to her brain for over 5 minutes when she was still in utero. Well, even back then in 93, we didn't have the internet back then. I mean, it existed, but right. I didn't have access to it, certainly. But I would go to the library and study because I thought, there's got to be something that could heal her brain. Turns out there is, but the world really wasn't ready for that then. So it was all about stem cells and understanding how we can regenerate parts of our brains that have been damaged. Ironically, years and years later, when I had my first son, Keegan, he was, had him in 2000, and in the third grade, he was diagnosed with Asperger's, which is a mild form of autism.
Mm-hmm.
This again led me down to the track of neurology because autism is a neurological disorder.
Right.
And so just wanting to understand him and what he was going through, I just started studying neurology all the time.
Wow. Well, first and foremost, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm thrilled that you figured out a way to work on the Asperger's thing. Anybody that watched the show Parenthood a few years ago has been exposed to what that's like. They did a wonderful job of bringing that to the world and helping people learn a little more about it. Man, more power to you to use those things to help move you forward to those institutes, if you will, and to pay it forward and help other people the way you are.
Oh, thank you, David. That's a beautiful compliment.
I'm a big fan of gratitude and have been ever since I became a cancer survivor in June of 2007. So as I look at your website and I see one of your headlines is gratitude, I'm going, wow, I don't see that. So how did that become a part of your life, and how does that enter into all the things that you do?
Well, in 2015, I was in a Facebook group that was sort of a fan club for people who were fans of Tony Robbins.
Okay.
And they were people specifically that were single. So it was kind of like a singles club for people that were fans of Tony Robbins. And I made a post in there and I just said, hey, I'm looking for a gratitude accountability partner. And I wanted someone female, and I had over 40 women respond.
Wow.
So because I didn't want to share gratitude with 40 people, I started another Facebook group called Declaring Gratitude. And what I did, and so we now have something like 400 or 500 people in the group, but what we do is we pair everyone up with pen pals.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this smaller groups of like 3 or 4 women in each group that share gratitudes each day. Now, gratitude has a positive impact in your life and on your focus because, I was talking about neurobiology, and I just want to throw this out there because I started the gratitude thing. It wasn't a religious thing for me. I really started it from a place of I knew I needed to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew from every spiritual practice or personal development program that I'd ever been through that gratitude is the foundation of feeling better. And so even just today, I was researching for a little book that I'm writing called Breakthrough Your Breakdown. The neurobiology of gratitude, it is not the act of being grateful itself that causes you to create dopamine and serotonin and vasopressin and oxytocin in your brain. It is the function of the brain as it is looking for the positivity in your life to be grateful for. So it is the act, your brain goes through a process of looking for positive things in your environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that process that creates feel-good chemicals or happy hits of hormones in your brain.
I am your poster boy.
Wonderful.
And I mean, without knowing that language, that knowledge, the bottom line of how you describe it is exactly how I've lived my life since June 11th, 2007.
Wow.
And it's just, I even have a gratitude tattoo, for goodness sakes.
That's right. And you wake up every day and you've primed the gratitude muscle in your brain because you've been practicing this for over 10 years or right at 10 years.
Right at 10, yeah.
And so because you've practiced that every day, what you've done is you've primed. If you think of your brain like a muscle, you've primed the gratitude muscle in your brain so that your brain is constantly scanning your environment, and you will notice the positive things in your environment more than you will notice the tragedy.
Absolutely right. Good for you. And you're able to, through your gratitude Facebook pages, and I'm sure with other clients and people that you speak to around the world and around the country, that you're able to share that and inspire people to get a sense of gratitude, right?
That's right.
One of the things that you talk about in your bio and on your website and stuff is somewhat, I would assume, related to gratitude, and that's self-affirmations, right?
That's right. So I've got in the Conscious Communications book, I talk about feedback loops a lot, but in order to change your life, something has to change. Or the power of now, I didn't really understand that. So I had to break it down into, how can I understand this? And what I figured out was that the goal here to make your life on a path of what you want, because truly we do all have free will. And
Right.
Free will to me means the ability to create my own reality. And I'm doing that through every choice I make. And what I need to do is get my thoughts, feelings, words, and actions in alignment with the results that I want. But how do you do that? Because I don't know about you, but if someone told me, hey, Mary, just quit thinking about that, I can't do that. I can't just stop thinking about the problem.
Right.
I can't force thoughts out of my head. But the one thing I can control out of all of these is I can control my actions and I can control my words. And so I've come up with 5 types of expressions that I consider these words, so to speak, in conscious communications. It's self-talk. So what we say about ourselves, unconscious script running in our mind, whether it's good or bad, it's self-talk. Spoken word. Spoken word is a mirror. What you say out loud is a mirror of what's inside of you. Affirmations. Affirmations are declarations that you assert that what is true in your life is what you want it to be. And then goals. I actually consider goals in this list because there's plenty of scientific research out there that says the difference between people who achieve success and those who do not is that achievers regularly write goals for themselves and follow a plan to make the goals happen. And then the last one of this is gratitude. And so we've already talked about gratitude and the power of that. But from there, I take it and break it down into types of affirmations. So when we're talking about affirmations, there's negative and disempowering affirmations. These are expressed criticisms of yourself and others, like saying, I am so stupid, or I always hate it when I do this.
Right.
It's an involuntary speech pattern. Then we've got releasing statements. So releasing statements are powerful statements in which you state what you will no longer accept as your truth. Like, never again will I drink too much, or never again am I going to smoke or clog my body with toxic food. One of the ones I use a lot is I release my fear of abandonment. That is a really powerful one for me. Then you've got the I am statements. And I think that we're all aware of the power of I am. These are declaring qualities, personality traits, and lifestyle choices and values that you want to embody in your own life. So when you make an I am statement, you're triggering the activation systems in your brain that will scan your experience for evidence to make this true. So I am radiant, I am beautiful, I am powerful, I am successful. Those are all of the I am statements. My next one is asking statements. So these are affirmations involve asking the universe to bring or guide you to encounters or experiences that will move you towards your desires, like guide me to thoughts in harmony with my core desires. Show me my power. Bring me evidence of how this works in wonderful and unexpected ways. And then the last is gratitude statements again. So I'm all about the gratitude.
Yeah. Absolutely. Boy, the affirmations are huge. The gratitude's huge. The fear of abandonment that you talked about, I've felt that for well over 40 years before I worked through that. So hats off to you. That's not an easy one. So when you travel around the country, do you speak to large groups, small groups, companies? How does your flow work in spreading the word?
All of the above. I do lots of corporate trainings where I am training them on the conscious communications method of customer service. So this is a system that I developed specifically for businesses to utilize their customer service force to build rapport and turn their processes into a connection.
So go to maryshores.com, just like it sounds, maryshores.com, and click on the Dream with a Deadline photo there. And also be sure to sign up for your Fearless Ambition newsletter. Tell us about that.
Well, that's a fun one. So about once a month, we put out a new workbook. So all of our members of Fearless Ambition get all of these freebie workbooks that we are working on, as well as our tons of bonuses. We have a monthly expert who weighs in on the topic of the month. So we might have a relationship coach, a financial expert, a manifestation expert. Got Keith Mitchell coming up soon. He is a superstar yogi who was a famous NFL player. I don't even remember what team he's on, but don't let that take away from his fame. He was in an accident on the field that broke his neck, and he was a paraplegic, and he healed himself through breath work and yoga. Just such a fascinating story. And I also want to say that included in our Dream with a Deadline workbook is a bonus called Creating Rocking Affirmations. So it's 3 steps to create rocking affirmations. So if your audience is really into the affirmations portion and is as big of a Louise Hay fan as I am, be sure to check out that book, even if it's just to get the 3 steps to create rocking affirmations.
What a great opportunity. And they can also reach out to you not only on maryshores.com, but you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the hot social media places. So you touch a lot of people in a lot of ways, don't you?
We certainly have. We've even been rocking it out on Pinterest, of all places. Who knew?
Wow. Yeah, I just started putting my podcasts on Pinterest, and I'm going, I had no idea I could do that. So that's been kind of fun to reach out and touch people in different ways. So what's next in your life after the book?
Planning 2 other books. So we're doing a book called Mind, Body, Business.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun one. And in the meantime, I'm really just wanting to continue to write out my monthly journal workbooks where I just constantly put together these processes. So like I said, we've got
Nice.
Dream with the Deadline. Right now, we're putting the finishing touches on another one called Ignite Your Dream. And after that, we'll be working with people who have reached a chronic level of stress in their life and they just feel completely stuck. And that's going to be my Breakthrough Your Breakdown.
Wow. Love that title too. So do you work with a team? You either sleep 2 hours a day or you have some people do all this?
Actually, I sleep 8 hours a day. And in the workbook, Ignite Your Dream, what you do, you pick 5 non-negotiables. So that is 5 things that you are committed to doing for your self-care. And one of my 5 is that I must get 8 hours of sleep a night. And
good for you.
So I would not be able to persevere and get as much done if I did not get that 8 hours of sleep a night. But I don't know. I just enjoy what I do so much. I do have a team of people. My amazing Roxanne, who is my assistant, she's really taught herself how to do graphic design. All of our workbooks are just breathtakingly beautiful. And she's done that graphic design work. And then I do the writing and the research, and she does the design work.
That's a good team. Well, her graphic design on your website is eye-catching, would be an understatement. Really, really well done.
Thank you.
One of the, we're about ready to wrap up here, but I noticed one of the recent tweets on your website, which I haven't heard for a very long time, but I love it. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. Man, that is just profound no matter where you are in life, isn't it?
I'm speechless even thinking about that one. When I put that up yesterday. Yes, I love that quote. And I think it's so true, because when we can look back on our lives and remember what our big wins were, and we realize that we have that power within us to overcome something in the past, then we know that we can persevere through the future.
That is a true story. And the other thing is, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, and that is, I'm a big fan of gratitude, as you know, but I'm also a big fan of looking forward and having something to look forward to at all times. And that, along with gratitude, just really has helped my attitude and in the way I look at things much more than I did 10, 15 years ago, that's for sure. Hey, Mary, it's been a real treat. You are on a mission to touch a lot of people, and I got to tell you, it's not very often that I get goosebumps talking to somebody, but I did with you today. So hats off to you for really creating some inspiring things for folks to jump onto. And folks, be sure to get the free materials that Mary just shared with you from maryshores.com. And you can find her on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, the whole YouTube, the whole enchilada. So continue success to you, Mary.
Thank you, David.
You are very welcome. You've been listening to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower and our special guest, Mary Shores.
Until next time, don't forget to download your free audiobook at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. That's audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast for your free audiobook. And thanks for listening to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower.